before I worked at CV, started to work at CV, my background is actually in church, so broadcast media,
Okay.
and then I was full-time at church. And I think from what I experienced, I think a lot of churches, not necessarily the one I came from, we were a little bit more ahead of the game, I think, when it came to like future tech, thinking that way and being more willing to experiment. But I think from what I experienced with other churches, a lot of ministry, people involved in ministry are a lot more hesitant to do that. So why do you think that it's important now for missions and ministry to explore future horizons with people in future tech?
It's super important for ministries to be paying attention to what's happening in the future of technology, particularly at this moment in time with the evolution of artificial intelligence and AI as we see it today, because the speed of acceleration is outstripping anything that we've seen before. And historically, the church's reaction has often been to technology to either do it late or to do it badly, or sometimes both. And that can be a real challenge because we go looking for the 666 in the code. We see something that is potentially unknown to us and scary. And the reality is that for most people, just individual humans, we're not actually afraid of change. We're very adaptable. We're very good at change. But what we are afraid of is the unknown. And when technology evolves so fast and suddenly becomes a massive part of our daily lives and begins to penetrate the culture, it can provoke that fear response in us because it feels like the unknown. And that's where we often see many ministries and church leaders and organizations want to hold back. What's interesting with AI in particular at the moment, though, is that we see a kind of bell curve. There's that kind of a lot of people in the middle who are basically not understanding what's happening, and you get some who are never going to go near it at one end of that curve, and at the other end we've got people who are radically trying to adopt it as fast as possible, which is exciting. But the challenge with that also is that they may be running before they've learned to walk because the technology is evolving so quickly. And particularly what I mean by that is about getting things like the ethics right, getting the way that they use this technology right, and also bringing their congregation or their donors or their organizations and businesses along for the ride, not to just run ahead of the pack. And so that's when technology comes into any walk of life, but particularly into the ministry, why we see sometimes people wanting to hold back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that for sure makes sense. And what do you think that we can learn from each other? And this goes both ways, from missions ministry into future tech and future tech back to missions and ministry minded people.
Well, what we can learn from each other in this moment is that those that are working in ministries, those are working in churches, or they might be in mission field, or they could be in some charitable or social impact enterprise. What they're doing is working with people. They're working with real humans in real circumstances. And the role of the technologists is to work with the technology, to wrangle the code and the applications and these sites and big companies that we're working with. And the opportunity for us to learn from each other is where we meet in the middle. It's where the people that are actually seeing the real impact of things like the climate crisis or the culture wars or the change in demographics at the coalface, they can bring the human outcomes, the human results of those problems and challenges, and then meet the technologist who can bring the solutions that technology might provide, not guaranteed, but may provide. And hopefully when we come together, we have a conversation that actually meets somewhere in the middle, where we get the best of human intelligence and artificial intelligence coming together to solve real problems.
I love it. I love that. And do you think from your side of things, are you seeing a rise in the church specifically wanting to be involved in these kinds of conversations?
This is about the third technology media revolution that I've worked and lived through in my own life. The original one being the introduction of the web, and then you could see social media being the explosion, and then particularly in the past 5 years, the evolution of things like voice technology and chatbots, and now these large language models that power things like ChatGPT and Google Gemini. And what's really encouraging is actually the response of the church across all sectors of the church, big C and little c, to this AI revolution has been faster, deeper, and I think more thoughtful than any of those revolutions that have come before. Maybe that's because we've learned the lessons from those first two. I hope it is. But also because AI is a slightly different challenge than the web or the mobile revolution or social media, which is it's not one person's job. It's not one person's responsibility to be the AI person, because AI is being threaded through everything that we experience. It's in the tools that we use every day. It's in the built environment. It's going to drive our cars in the future. And it's changing our interpersonal relationships through things like chatbots and telemedicine, and the future of, hey, like you could have an AI girlfriend. And these types of challenges mean that it doesn't sit with one person. And so the church, I think, has woken up much quicker, because it's not just up to the guy that does the marketing or the person in that department over there who looks after IT to worry about. It's something that's going to affect us all. And so I am encouraged by that, because the church has woken up to this technology far faster. The challenge with that is that we don't then push it away because we're fearful of it, that we learn to embrace it, and at the same time that we hold the companies that are creating it to account, that they wouldn't take away the unique imago Dei that we have in the form of God giving us his spirit and the humanity that we possess, and we won't lose that in the use of this technology. That's what we have to hold to account. So I think that's why the church has woken up much faster than maybe any of us really expected.
Yeah, and I think as that grows and interest grows in the church and in other ministry organizations, it's important for us to provide places like Digital Day for these connections, to make this kind of collaborative environment for mission-minded, well, we're all mission-minded, right? But like future tech and ministry to come together. And so how does Digital Day specifically address this?
The thing about Digital Day is it brings together experts who are working deep in their fields of technology and future trend analysis and marketing and all of these different disciplines. And it brings together those people with an audience that are actually thinking about the mission field every single day, whether that's in the church, whether it's in the nonprofit space, whether it's in the social impact business space, and those who are startups, founders, and supporting that whole arena. And by bringing together that group of people, it means that we can have not only a diverse conversation, but a deep one, because it is people that have already opted into the fact that this future is coming for us. Right, the people that come to Digital Day, I think, are really encouraging to me as someone that's been able to be a part of speaking at it and attending over the past couple of years, because the conversations that we will have there will be thoughtful and they will be deep, but also that they'll drive action. And we've seen this from people that have come before, that they'll go out and actually change the way that they do things tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. And so that's why I think Digital Day is super crucial for us as being a part of CV, to make sure that we bring together that conversation.
That's great. And then just finally, what are you most personally passionate about in this specific, you talked about being a part of different changes, this season of change, what are you most passionate and excited about?
I'm really passionate at the moment about this opportunity for us to get the ethics of AI right. And that's because this is a once in a generation opportunity for us to do that. We're the last group of people that will work and live and educate our kids and worship alongside one another before and after AI is present in all of our lives. And that means that our youngest members of our congregations and families will never know what life was like without this stuff permeating everything they do. That's why this is a unique opportunity and a moment, I believe, in time for the church to rise up and give guidance and instruction, but also demonstration of what AI can do to scale the gospel, to connect with one another, to disciple people well, and also to transform society. And that's what I think the church has always been good at, when it learns how to use the technology that's available to it.
Amazing.